So I just noticed something. This new chapter that I'm about to start, chapter 5, is, I think, the last thing Aura Channel Chris wrote for this fanfiction. Because if you look, it says it was last updated on July the 23rd, 2015, and it says, rewritten chapter 5. A series of events lands a party member in an unlucky situation, making the others race against the clock before it is too late. And at the start, I noticed it says it has a little R.I.P. to Satoru Iwata, who I don't know if you guys remember was the CEO of Nintendo until his untimely death in July 2015. So yeah, I think this is the last thing he wrote. So that's kind of interesting. Anyway, so let's see. So the little author's note at the start says, "What? There is an ending for this arc, you know. Let us resume on where we left on. What? Let us resume on where we left on to see how the last chapter for the arc fares. Okay? Wow, it seems that in 7 years, he learned. He actually forgot how to write. I mean, you know, I imagine, you know, it says he's Hispanic in the first chapter. I imagine English was not his first language, but it appears his grasp of the language has worsened over the course of those years. Anyway, I encourage all NES fans to read on, enjoy, and review," he says. And then he adds, "Rest in peace, Satoru Iwata. Thank you for giving us so much and for being a very renowned president for Nintendo and for working on Earthbound 2. Okay, that's, you know, cool. Chapter 5, Enter the Bad Guys. Chris knew for certain that things were not going to be so good for him in the long run. After having seen that dreadful incident where he couldn't stomach seeing so much bloodshed, it was proof enough that appearances weren't everything. Truthfully, it was his Lucario who had behaved violently for his sake, but it didn't help matters just knowing that. If the team got careless again, he didn't want to know what Lucario would do if he didn't manage to keep his anger under control. He could certainly make a happy place like Kirby's world a living hell. Fortunately, I don't think I could stand that, you know, playing, you know, if he's like in Kirby's world and all of a sudden it turns into fucking bloodshed just because Aura Channeler Chris wanted some fucking drama that he forgets about next chapter. You know, I think I'd be a bit pissed off, frankly. Because, you know, I haven't really played those games very much, but, you know, they're really sweet. So, you know, I don't want him to make it all horrible. Anyway, fortunately, the distraught teen was slowly getting out of his trance. He was thankful to know the world they were visiting was not really a normal one. The big-nosed, walking head with a red ribbon on a single piece of hair, strange creature in front of them was evidence to that, and somehow Chris could start to forget about what he just went through, just trying to make sense about the new creature. "Boing!" it replied, its dot eyes curiously looking up at them. "Welcome! This Saturn Valley! Guests rest for free!" Ness and his team remained silent. For once, besides knowing Lucario full well, they were not really sure what they were staring at as it started circling around them. "Okay, I'm so lost here. What are you?" Ness asked the creature. "Me, Mr. Saturn! Zoom! Everyone, Mr. Saturn!" the creature replied in monotone as it continued to examine them. Oh well, fuck monotone. "One of many. Many like cake." "That's good to know, I guess," Paula trailed off as she scratched her head in confusion. "Listen, we're kind of in a mission to fight this... Wait, hold on." She looked at the others. Should we ask him about what we're doing?" "Hey, they're pretty strange creatures. By all means, they should know some weird stuff related to Gygus," Ness said with a shrug. "You know, pair up weird with weird. It all makes sense." "Does it?" "Right." She looked back at the creature. "Do you know anything about a shady Gygus character? He's been going around messing people's lives, using his malevolent influence to corrupt their hearts and the like." "Ellipsis." The Mr. Saturn tilted his whole body to the right, possibly thinking what Paula had meant by that. "Dunno! Zoom! Strange things happen here, though." "There's a lead in that sentence," Jeff noted. Oh, fuck, Jeff noted. I'm really sorry. "So, what strange things have happened here?" "Friends vanish, we worry." vanish. I don't fucking talk like that. Friends vanish, we worry, the Mr. Saturn said. One time we many. Now less and less. It's almost Welsh. I'm really shit at doing a West Country accent. Also, I'm very sorry. If anyone from the West Country happens to be watching this video, I'm very sorry I accidentally made the character with a West Country accent be the most retarded one in the show, in the entire in the fanfiction so far. I didn't mean to offend. I just picked that up from off the top of my head. One time we many. Oh shit, that's totally Welsh. Whatever. One time we many, now less and less. Scary. The group took another look at the valley. More like the Mr. Saturn they were talking to were frolicking about without a care in the world. Many huts that vaguely resembled them were positioned all across the plains and the cliffs up ahead. Unlike normal cities and towns, the valley they were at looked a little too empty, unless the Mr. Saturns were hiding very well, as the few ones they saw were doing strange things like rolling, hopping, singing weird songs, bird-watching, little life gardening. What the fuck is a life gardening? And somehow flying a kite with no hands. They also saw a Mr. Saturn floating belly down on a small pond, but he didn't seem to be moving at all. Well then, that's a little bit morbid. Okay, what I got from that is that these strange guys have been disappearing and they don't know why, Ness said. Shall I play the Geigus did it card? Not until we make sure that was the case, Paula said as she crouched down to talk more with the Mr. Saturn. Do you have any idea why they're disappearing? Maybe someone eats your kind? We taste bad! Boing, the Mr. Saturn said. Me tried licking friend. He turned blue and bopped me on the head. Animals like us zoom. No eating Mr. Saturns. Geigus did it, the three chosen ones said all at once. Geigus did it, the three chosen ones all said at once. I like how Geigus and did are capitalized and it is not. It was rather painful for Chris to know how everything was going to play out and not tell the children about it, or else they would question why he knew so much about the future events. He had to stick with the narrative to avoid more suspicion. Swallowing some breath due to still being perturbed about what had happened moments ago, he tried to talk to voice his opinion. Well, now I guess we have to find where those Mr. Saturns went to, right? Don't mention the falls, don't mention the falls, he said. I imagine that makes more sense if you've played the game. Lucario sighed. Oh no, shit, I missed a bit. That should be a little easy the moment we find one of these creatures wandering about and away from this village, Juff said. Easier said than done, though. We never spotted a single one of them as we headed here. Ness chuckled and looked up at Lucario. Hey, you. You can sense auras and whatnot. It's your time to shine, right, and spot those big-nosed guys, he said. Lucario sighed, mostly because he thought Ness was using him, but he was right. Well, you know, it's a fairly useful ability. I don't think you can really criticize Ness for wanting that to be put to some usage. Though Lucario was lucky to watch Chris play Earthbound once till the end, there was no need for him to even use his aura to locate the Mr. Saturns behind the falls. Unlike Chris's vow of silence, Lucario could abuse loopholes using his innate skill. It shouldn't take me too much if they're close by. Let me see the landscape. His eyes glowed yellow and he used his sixth sense to survey the area, but he entirely focused his whole attention behind the falls they saw on the way to the valley. Behind the water wall that hid a big secret hidden away from plain sight and his own aura vision. Ellipsis, 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 ellipsis. What in the... Lucario trailed off in utter surprise. The Aura Pokemon was an adept at using Aura, so it came as a complete shock that he didn't find anything behind the falls radiating with life energy. There wasn't a single soul he could spot immediately, and it got even worse when he found out there was nothing but hard rock being coated by the Earth's own life energy, which had meant that the supposed factory hiding nearby was not there. Very much perplexed by the event, Lucario assumed something was wrong. He focused his senses even more in an effort to see if his sight was being crippled, but no matter how hard he tried, there wasn't anything behind the falls. A factory was not there, much to his shock. Those words mean something meaningful. That's a wonderful sentence. Holy shit, Aura Channeler Chris, you got worse at writing. I know I said this earlier, but it's true. It's really true. This is a train wreck.
Those words mean something meaningful. Did you find them?
Paula asked. Lucario diverged his attention from the falls and tried to look around more somewhere else where souls shouldn't be found. After a minute of surveying miles and miles of land, he came to a shameful result. He couldn't find a single Mr. Saturn outside the valley.
No.
White and not shine, Ness said, earning a growl. If this guy can't locate them, what chances do we have in spotting them using our eyes? Bum 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 bum. I don't know.